Captain Jake Miller felt the ship shake around him as another blast hit the hull. The lights flickered on and off in the command center. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The sound of metal breaking filled the air. "Shields are down to 20%, shouted Lieutenant Amy Brooks from her station. Her fingers moved fast across the controls, but nothing seemed to work. The enemy ships were too strong. Jake looked at the main screen. Dozens of alien ships surrounded their colony. The Zephyrian Collective had come without warning. Their black ships moved like deadly birds in space. Each one was 3 times bigger than anything humans had built in the last 100 years. "How many people are still on the planet?" Jake asked. 3 million, sir," replied Amy. Her voice was shaking. "The evacuation ships can't get through. The aliens are shooting everything that moves." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. 3 million people, families, children, all counting on him to protect them. But his ship was just a colony. Guard vessel. It had some weapons, but nothing that could fight this many enemies. Another explosion rocked the ship. This time, the lights went out completely. Emergency power came on a few seconds later, but Jake knew they were running out of time. "Sir, we're getting reports from the surface," said Communications Officer Tony Rivera. "The alien ground forces have landed in the main city. They're not taking prisoners." Jake felt his heart sink. The Zephyrian Collective was known for one thing. They destroyed everything human. No peace talks, no mercy, just death. "What about the fleet?" Jake asked. "Are any other ships coming to help?" Amy shook her head. "The nearest human fleet is 6 days away. We sent the distress call, but they won't get here in time." Jake looked around the command center. His crew was still fighting, but he could see the fear in their eyes. They all knew this was hopeless. Their ship, the New Horizon, was good for protecting the colony from pirates or small threats. But not this. Not a full invasion. "Captain," said Amy suddenly, "I'm picking up something strange. There's an old frequency in our communications system. It's marked as military emergency only." "What kind of military emergency?" Jake asked. Amy read from her screen. "It says Extinction Protocol. The frequency hasn't been used in over 200 years. It's connected to something called the Old Guard." Jake had heard stories about the Old Guard. Long ago, before his grandfather was born, humans had been different. They had fought wars that covered whole star systems. They had built weapons that could destroy planets. But that was ancient history. Humans had chosen peace instead of war. "Sir, another wave of enemy ships is coming," reported Navigator Lisa Park. 47 new contacts. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Jake made his decision. "Amy, open that old frequency. Send a message on the Extinction Protocol." "Sir, I don't know if anyone is listening. The system is so old." "Do it," Jake said firmly. "If we're going to die, we might as well try everything." Amy's hands moved across her controls. The old system was hard to use. It had been built in a time when humans used different technology. Finally, she got it working. "Channel open, sir. The signal is broadcasting on all emergency frequencies." Jake took a deep breath. He didn't know who might be listening, but he had to try. "This is Captain Jake Miller of the colony ship New Horizon. We are at Haven Prime Colony. 3 million civilians are under attack by the Zephyrian Collective. We need immediate help. Our defenses are failing. Code, Extinction Protocol." Amy sent the message into space. It traveled faster than light, reaching listening posts across the galaxy. Most of them were empty. Most had been shut down long ago. In the Sol system, in a place where few humans ever went, something heard the call. Deep in the asteroid belt, a listening post that had been sleeping for 2 centuries suddenly came alive. Lights turned on. Computers started working. An artificial intelligence that had been waiting for this exact moment began to wake up. The AI was called Protocol 7. It had one job. If humanity was ever in danger of being wiped out, it would wake up the old guard. Back at Haven Prime, Jake watched the alien ships get closer. Amy, did anyone respond to our message? No, sir. No response yet. Jake nodded. He hadn't really expected an answer. The old guard was just a story. But at least he had tried. All ships, this is Captain Miller. He said into his communication system, "We're going to fight as long as we can. Protect the evacuation ships. Don't let them get to the civilians." His small fleet of 5 ships moved to attack the alien force. It was like throwing rocks at a mountain. But they were human. They would fight until the end. On the planet below, families ran for shelter. Children cried. Parents held them tight. The alien ships flew overhead, shooting at anything that moved. But far away, in the cold darkness of space, ancient machines were starting to move. The message had been received. The old guard was waking up. The Zephyrian Collective had made a terrible mistake. They thought they knew what humans were capable of. They had studied human colonies and fleets. They had seen the peaceful traders and diplomats. They had never seen humans at war. Protocol 7 sent signals to sleeping ships across the galaxy. In hidden bases and forgotten stations, lights began to turn on. Engines that had been cold for centuries started to warm up. And in the deepest parts of human space, the most dangerous ship ever built began to wake up. The U.E.'s Titan's wrath was coming. Commander Lisa Stone opened her eyes slowly. The first thing she noticed was the cold. The second thing was the pain in her chest as she breathed. The third thing was that she was lying in a cryopod that should have kept her asleep for only 6 months. The pod's display showed a date that made her heart stop. 200 years. She had been asleep for 200 years. "Emergency wake-up sequence complete," said a voice she recognized. It was Cerberus, the ship's eye. "All senior staff report to the command center immediately." Lisa pulled herself out of the pod. Her legs were weak, but she forced herself to walk. The corridors of the U.E. Titan's wrath were exactly as she remembered them. Dark metal walls, red warning lights, everything built for war. She reached the command center and found her crew already there. Chief Engineer Ryan Clark was checking his equipment. Tactical Officer Kevin Hayes was reading reports on his screen. Navigation Specialist Rachel Adams was plotting courses through space. They all looked confused and scared. Lisa knew exactly how they felt. "Cerberus, report," Lisa said as she sat in the captain's chair. "Commander Stone, we have been awakened by Protocol 7. A human colony is under attack by a force that threatens human extinction. The Zephyrian Collective has invaded Haven Prime with overwhelming numbers." Lisa felt her blood turn cold. The Zephyrian Collective was supposed to be a peaceful trading empire. At least, that's what they had been 200 years ago. "Show me the current situation," she ordered. The main screen filled with data. Lisa read it carefully, and her face grew dark. The Zephyrian Collective had become something terrible. They had conquered dozens of star systems. They killed entire populations and took their planets. "How many human colonies have they attacked?" she asked. 47 confirmed attacks in the last 5 years, Cerberus replied. "Haven Prime is the largest target so far. 3 million civilians." Kevin Hayes looked up from his station. "Commander, what's our current status? Are we ready to fight?" Lisa turned to Ryan Clark. "Chief, how's the ship?" Ryan's fingers danced across his controls. "Amazing, Commander. The ship is in perfect condition. All weapon systems are online. The quantum engines are running at full power. It's like we just launched yesterday." "What about the crew?" Lisa asked. All 2,847 crew members are awake and at their stations, reported Rachel Adams. The automated systems have been maintaining the ship and training programs while we slept. Lisa stood up and walked to the tactical display. The Titan's Wrath was the most powerful ship ever built by humans. It had been created during the First Galactic War, but the war had ended before the ship could be used. So they had hidden it in the asteroid belt, just in case. Cerberus, what's the current state of human military forces? Lisa asked. Human military capability has decreased significantly over the past 2 centuries, the AI replied. Current human. Ships are designed for exploration and trade, not warfare. They have minimal weapons and weak defenses. Lisa felt anger rising in her chest. They let the military die? Humans chose peace over strength, Cerberus explained. They believed that diplomacy and trade would keep them safe. Kevin Hayes laughed bitterly. How's that working out for them? Not well, Lisa said. Cerberus, are there any other Old Guard ships available? Yes, Commander. Protocol 7 has activated 17 other vessels. The stealth destroyer Shadow Strike is already moving toward Haven Prime. The assault carrier Iron Fortress is launching from the Jupiter system. Lisa smiled for the first time since waking up. Good. What about automated defenses? 63 defense platforms have been activated across human space. They are moving to protect major population centers. Lisa walked back to her chair. Time to Haven Prime at maximum speed? 18 hours, Commander, replied Rachel Adams. Then we go to war, Lisa said. All hands, this is Commander Stone. We have been awakened because humanity is in danger. We are the Old Guard. We are the ones who remember how to fight. The Zephyrian Collective thinks they can destroy human colonies without consequence. They are wrong. She paused and looked around the command center. Her crew was ready. They had been trained for this exact moment. Kevin, I want all weapon systems at full power. Ryan, push the engines as hard as they'll go. Rachel, plot the fastest course to Haven Prime. And Cerberus, I want you to start analyzing Zephyrian tactics and technology. Already in progress. Commander, the AI replied, I have been monitoring galactic communications for the past 2 centuries. The Zephyrian Collective has been studying human behavior and military doctrine. They believe they understand our limitations. Lisa laughed. They've been studying the wrong humans. They've been watching traitors and diplomats. They've never seen us fight. As the Titan's Wrath moved through space, Lisa studied the reports about the Zephyrian Collective. They were efficient killers. They used superior numbers and technology to overwhelm their enemies. They had never lost a battle, but they had never fought the Old Guard. Commander, said Kevin Hayes, I'm reading the weapon specifications for current human ships. These things couldn't fight off a pirate attack. That's because they were never meant to fight, Lisa replied. Humans thought they could live in peace forever. They forgot that peace only exists when you're strong enough to enforce it. The ship's communication system activated. Commander Stone, this is Captain Ben Torres of the Shadow Strike. Good to see you're awake, Lisa smiled. Ben had been her friend during the First Galactic War. Good to hear your voice, Ben. What's your status? My ship is ready for battle. We should reach Haven Prime 12 hours before you do. I'll scout the enemy positions. Be careful, Ben. We don't know what new weapons they have. Don't worry about me, Lisa. I'm more concerned about the aliens. They have no idea what's coming. As the Titan's Wrath raced through space, Lisa thought about Captain Jake Miller and his crew. They were fighting alone against impossible odds. But they had bought time. Time for the Old Guard to wake up. The Zephyrian Collective was about to learn why humans had once been the most feared warriors in the galaxy. And why they had hidden their most powerful weapons. waiting for the day when peace was no longer possible. The Titan's wrath was not alone in the darkness of space. As Commander Lisa Stone watched the tactical display, she saw other ships moving toward Haven Prime. Old ships, dangerous ships, ships that had been sleeping for 2 centuries. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Colonel Maria Santos," reported Communications Officer Paul Griffin. "She's aboard the Iron Fortress." Lisa smiled. Maria had been one of the best ground commanders during the First Galactic War. Put her through. The screen filled with the image of a woman with steel gray hair and sharp eyes. "Lisa Stone, you haven't changed a bit. Still ready to fight the whole galaxy by yourself?" "Maria Santos, still leading from the front," Lisa replied. "What's your status?" "My ship is fully operational. We've got 5,000 Marines in cryo-storage, all from the old days, plus enough weapons and vehicles to level a continent. We'll be at Haven Prime in 20 hours. Lisa nodded. "Good. We're going to need ground forces. The aliens have landed. Troops in the main city. I've been monitoring their communications," Maria said. "These Zephyrians are efficient, but they're not creative. They use the same tactics everywhere they go. Overwhelming force, no mercy, quick victory. That might work against current human forces," Lisa said, "but they've never fought us." "Speaking of which," Maria continued, "I've been reading the reports about modern human military doctrine. Lisa, what happened to us? How did we get so weak?" Lisa felt the same anger she had been fighting since she woke up. "We got comfortable. We thought peace was permanent. We forgot that freedom has to be defended." The communication channel expanded to include Captain Ben Torres from the Shadow Strike. "Ladies, I'm already at Haven Prime. The situation is worse than we thought." Ben's ship was invisible to most sensors. It had been designed to scout enemy positions without being detected. The colony defense fleet is down to 2 ships. Captain Miller is still fighting, but he can't hold out much longer. Lisa stood up from her chair. "How many Zephyrian ships are there?" 73 combat vessels, plus support ships. They've got the planet surrounded. Ground forces are advancing on all major cities. Lisa walked to the tactical display. She had fought Vincent. Worse odds before, but that was with a full fleet. Now she had only a few ships from the old guard. "Cerberus, what's our analysis of Zephyrian technology?" she asked. "Their weapons are powerful, but standard," the AI replied. "They rely on energy shields and plasma cannons. Their ships are built for conquest, not for fighting an equal enemy." "Are they equal to us?" asked Kevin Hayes. "No," Cerberus said simply. "Our technology is superior in every way. However, they outnumber us significantly." Lisa smiled. "Numbers don't always win battles. Ben, I want you to stay hidden and watch their movements. Maria, when you arrive, I want you to prepare for a ground assault. We're going to hit them hard and fast." "What about the other old guard ships?" asked Paul Griffin. Lisa checked her display. "The battlecruiser Stormbreaker is coming from the outer systems. The missile destroyer Rain of Fire is 2 days out. But we can't wait for them. Those people on Haven Prime need help now." As the Titan's wrath moved through space, Lisa thought about the enemy they were facing. The Zephyrian Collective had been studying humans for years. They thought they knew how humans fought. They had watched human peacekeepers and diplomats. They had seen human traders and explorers, but they had never seen human warriors. "Commander," said Rachel Adams, "we're receiving a message from the automated defense platforms. They're asking for orders." Lisa had forgotten about the defense platforms. They were automated weapon systems that had been hidden throughout human space. Each one was as powerful as a small warship. "How many are operational?" she asked. 63 platforms are online and ready for combat," reported Cerberus. "They can be at Haven Prime in 6 hours." Lisa felt hope rising in her chest. Send them immediately. Program them to attack any Zephyrian ship that gets close to the planet. Already done, Commander. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Lisa looked around at her crew. They were all veterans of the First Galactic War. They had fought against impossible odds and won. They had been humanity's shield when the galaxy was a dangerous place. I know what you're all thinking, Lisa said. We've been asleep for 2 centuries. The galaxy has changed. Maybe we're not needed anymore. She paused and looked at each of them. But some things never change. Evil still exists. There are still those who would destroy innocent people for power. And there are still those who will. Stand against them. Kevin Hayes spoke up. Commander, what if we're too late? What if the colony falls before we get there? Lisa's voice was hard as steel. Then we make sure the Zephyrian Collective pays for every human life they've taken. We show them that attacking humanity has consequences. The communication system activated again. This time it was Captain Jake Miller from Haven Prime. His voice was tired and full of static. This is Captain Miller. If anyone is receiving this transmission, Haven Prime is falling. We've lost contact with the surface. The enemy has broken through our defenses. We're going to try to evacuate as many people as possible, but we need help. Lisa felt her heart break. 3 million people were counting on her to save them. She turned to Rachel Adams. How much faster can we go? We're already at maximum speed, Commander. If we push the engines any harder, we risk damaging them. Do it, Lisa ordered. Ryan, give me everything the engines can handle. If we burn them out, we'll fix them later. Chief Engineer Ryan Clark's hands moved across his controls. Engines at 110% power. We'll be at Haven Prime in 16 hours. Lisa sat back in her chair and closed her eyes. 16 hours. She hoped it would be enough dot in the Zephyrian fleet. War Commander Zix Thrall watched the human colony burn. His species had conquered 47 human worlds. Each time, it was the same. The humans would fight bravely, but uselessly, then surrender or die. Sir, reported his tactical officer, we're detecting some unusual energy signatures approaching the system. Zix Thrall looked at the display. What kind of energy signatures? Unknown, sir. They're not matching any known human technology. Zix Thrall dismissed the report. Probably just merchant ships fleeing the battle. Continue the assault. He had no idea that humanity's ultimate weapons were coming to wake him up to a new kind of war. Captain Jake Miller looked at the tactical display with despair. Only 1 ship remained from his small fleet. The New Horizon was badly damaged, but she was still fighting. Around him, his crew worked desperately to keep the weapons firing. Sir, we're down to 15% power, reported Amy Brooks. Blood ran down her face from a cut on her forehead. The alien ships are closing in, Jake nodded grimly. They had fought for 18 hours straight. His people were exhausted, but they hadn't given up. On the planet below, evacuation ships were still trying to rescue civilians. How many people are still on the surface? He asked. About 2 million, sir, replied Tony Rivera. The evacuation ships can't get through the alien blockade. Jake felt his heart sink. 2 million people, families with children, old people who couldn't run fast enough, all waiting for rescue that might never come. Sir, shouted Amy suddenly, I'm detecting something massive approaching the system. It's bigger than anything I've ever seen. Jake turned to look at her screen. The energy signature was enormous. Whatever was coming was the size of a small moon. Is it another alien ship? He asked. Amy shook her head. No, sir. The energy patterns are human. But I don't understand how that's possible. No human ship is that big. Suddenly, space itself seemed to tear open. A ship appeared out of nowhere, directly above Haven Prime. It was black as night and covered in weapon systems. It was so large that it blocked out the sun. "My God," whispered Tony Rivera. "What is that thing?" Jake stared at the massive ship. On its hull, he could see writing, U.E.S. Titan's Wrath. "This is Commander Lisa Stone of the U.E.S. Titan's Wrath," came a voice over the communication system. "Captain Miller, you and your crew have fought well. Now let us show you how the Old Guard fights." Jake had heard stories about the Old Guard. Ancient warriors from a time when humans ruled the galaxy through strength. But he had thought they were just legends. The Titan's Wrath turned its weapons toward the Zephyrian fleet. What happened next would be talked about for generations. Beams of pure energy shot out from the massive ship. Each beam was more powerful than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. The first alien ship hit by the weapons simply vanished. It didn't explode. It just ceased to exist. "What kind of weapons are those?" asked Amy in amazement. Jake watched. As the Titan's Wrath carved through the enemy fleet like a sword through paper, the alien ships tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't even scratch the human ship's shields. "Sir, we're getting another transmission," reported Tony. "It's from someone called Captain Ben Torres." A new voice came over the communication system. "This is the Shadow Strike. We've been watching you fight for the past 6 hours. You've got courage, Captain Miller. Now watch what happens when you combine courage with superior firepower." Suddenly, dozens of alien ships began exploding. Jake couldn't see what was attacking them. The Shadow Strike was invisible to his sensors. "How many ships are out there?" Jake asked. "I'm detecting at least 5 human vessels," replied Amy. "But they're not like any ships I've ever seen. They're using technology that's centuries ahead of anything we have." On the planet's surface, the alien ground forces were advancing on the main city. Families ran through the streets, trying to reach the evacuation points. Zephyrian soldiers fired at anything that moved. Then the sky filled with fire. Hundreds of objects fell from space like meteors. But these weren't meteors. They were drop pods containing human Marines. As they hit the ground, armored soldiers emerged and began fighting the aliens. Jake watched in amazement as the human ground forces pushed the aliens back. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They moved with perfect coordination. Their weapons cut through alien armor like it was made of paper. "Sir," said Amy, "I'm getting a transmission from Colonel Maria Santos." She's the ground commander. A woman's voice filled the command center. "This is Colonel Santos of the Iron Fortress. Captain Miller, my Marines are securing the evacuation points. Get your people to safety." Jake felt tears in his eyes. After 18 hours of hopeless fighting, help had finally arrived. But where had these ships come from? "Commander Stone," he said into his communication system, "I don't understand. Where did you come from? How did you get here so fast?" "We've been sleeping for 2 centuries, Captain," Lisa replied, "waiting for the day when humanity would need us again. That day is today." Jake watched as the Titan's Wrath continued to destroy alien ships. The Zephyrian fleet was in full retreat, but the human ship was faster. It hunted down the alien vessels one by one. "Sir," said Amy, "the alien ground forces are surrendering. Our Marines have secured the main city." Jake couldn't believe it. In less than an hour, the Old Guard had turned a hopeless battle into a complete victory. The Zephyrian Collective, which had never lost a battle, was running away. "Commander Stone," Jake said, "thank you. You saved 3 million lives today." "We saved more than that, Captain," Lisa replied. "We saved humanity's future. A galaxy is about to remember why they once feared us." As the last alien ship fled the system, Jake looked at his crew. They were all staring at the Titan's Wrath. In amazement, "Sir," said Tony Rivera, "what happens now?" Jake smiled for the first time in days. Now we rebuild. But this time, we remember that peace is only possible when you're strong enough to defend it. On the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, Commander Lisa Stone watched the last alien ship disappear into hyperspace. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Cerberus, send a message to all human colonies, she ordered. Tell them that the old guard is back. Tell them that humanity will never again be caught defenseless. Message sent, Commander, the AI replied. Lisa looked at her. Crew. They had fought well, but she knew this was only the beginning. The Zephyrian Collective would return with more ships. Other enemies would hear about the battle and want to test human strength. But she was ready. They all were. All hands, she said into the ship's communication system. This is Commander Stone. Today we reminded the galaxy that humans are not prey. We are predators, and we protect our own. The Titan's Wrath and her sister ships began patrolling the area around Haven Prime. They would stay until the colony was rebuilt and defended. The old guard had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The news of the battle at Haven Prime spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the Zephyrian Collective's capital world, War Prime Zix Thrall stood before the High Council with his head bowed in shame. Explain to us how an entire battle fleet was destroyed by 5 human ships, demanded the council leader, her voice filled with cold anger. Zix Thrall had been asking himself the same question for days. The humans had technology we have never seen before. Ships that were invisible to our sensors. Weapons that could destroy our vessels with a single shot. Shields that our most powerful cannons could not penetrate. But our intelligence reports said humans were weak, another council member said. Our spies have been watching them for decades. They have no military. They prefer trade and diplomacy. We were watching the wrong humans, Zix Thrall replied. These ships came from somewhere else. They called themselves the Old Guard. They fought like the humans of ancient legend. The council leader's eyes narrowed. Ancient legend? From the First Galactic War 2 centuries ago, before we became a star-traveling species. The stories say that humans once ruled through fear and strength, but we thought those were just stories. They are not stories, said the council leader grimly. Send word to all our fleets. Human space is now forbidden. Any ship that enters human territory will be destroyed. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human government was in chaos. President Amanda Kelly sat in her office, reading reports that seemed impossible to believe. You're telling me we had a secret fleet of warships hidden in our own solar system? She asked Admiral Robert Stone, the head of Earth's small defense force. Yes, Madam President. The ships were built during the First Galactic War, but were never used. They were hidden in case of emergency. Amanda stood up and walked to the window. She could see the moon in the distance, looking peaceful and quiet. And now they're out there fighting battles without my authorization? The ships were activated by an automatic system called Protocol 7. It only activates when humanity faces extinction. Amanda felt angry and confused. How did I not know about this? How did none of us know? The knowledge was classified at the highest levels. Only a few people knew, and they've been dead for over a century. As Amanda tried to understand the situation, similar conversations were happening on every human world. Colony governors were asking the same questions. How had their peaceful civilization hidden such powerful weapons? The answer was simple. Their ancestors had been wiser than they thought. On the Titan's Wrath, Commander Lisa Stone was having a different conversation. Captain Jake Miller had been promoted to Admiral and was now the official representative of the colonial government. The colonies want to know what happens next, Jake said. People are scared. They've lived in peace for generations. Now they're learning that we've been one emergency away from total war. Lisa nodded. I understand their fear, but they need to understand something important. Peace is not the natural state of the galaxy. Peace is what you get when you're strong enough to defend it. But what about diplomacy? What about trying to get along with other species? We will still try diplomacy, Lisa replied. But now we will negotiate from a position of strength. Other species will know that attacking humans has consequences. As they talked, reports came in from across human space. The automated defense platforms were online and protecting major colonies. The Shadow Strike was patrolling trade routes. The Iron Fortress was training new Marines. But most importantly, word was spreading to other species. The Zephyrian Collective was not the only threat in the galaxy. There were pirates, raiders, and other hostile species. All of them were now reconsidering their plans. Admiral Miller, said Lisa, I want you to send a message to all human colonies. Tell them that the old guard is not going away. We're going to build a new fleet using the old technology. We're going to train a new generation of warriors. Jake looked concerned. Are you sure that's wise? What if we become the threat? What if we turn into the thing we're fighting against? Lisa smiled. That's why we need people like you, Jake. People who remember that our job is to protect, not to conquer. The old guard will always serve humanity, not rule it. Over the next few weeks, the galaxy watched as humanity changed. New ships began appearing in human space. They were smaller than the Titan's Wrath, but they were built with the same advanced technology. Human colonies that had been defenseless for centuries suddenly had powerful protectors. Trade routes became safer. Pirates learned to avoid human ships. Other species began requesting protection from human vessels. But the most important change was in the humans themselves. For generations, they had believed that peace was possible through weakness. Now they understood that peace was only possible through strength. In the Galactic Council, the representative from the peaceful Altarian Republic stood before the assembly. We have received reports about the human military awakening, she said. Some of you are concerned about this development. You worry that humans will become aggressive and expansionist. She paused and looked around the room. But I want to remind you all of something. When the Zephyrian Collective attacked the Altarian colonies last year, we called for help. The Galactic Council debated for weeks while our people died. But when the humans learned about the attack, they sent 3 ships and ended the threat in one day. The humans are not interested in conquest, she continued. They are interested in protection. They protect their own people. Can they protect their friends? I say we should be grateful that such protectors exist. Back on the Titan's Wrath, Commander Lisa Stone stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The ship was patrolling the border between human space and the unknown regions. They had become humanity's guardians. Commander, said Kevin Hayes, joining her at the window, do you think we did the right thing? Waking up the old guard? Lisa thought about the question. 3 million people are alive because we woke up. How many more will live because the galaxy knows we're here? But what about the cost? We've changed humanity forever. They can never go back to the way things were. Lisa nodded. That's true. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's time for humanity to grow up, to understand that freedom isn't free. As she spoke, reports came in from across the galaxy. The message was always the same. Human space was now the safest place in the galaxy. Pirates avoided it. Hostile species stayed away. And other peaceful species were asking for protection. The old guard had awakened, not just to fight one battle, but to change the balance of power in the galaxy. They had reminded everyone that humans were not just traders and diplomats. They were warriors who protected what they loved. And in the deepest parts of space, in hidden bases and secret shipyards, humanity was building. Not just new ships, but A new future. One where peace was enforced by strength, and where the innocent were protected by those willing to fight.